Viewers, we are joined by Gautam Gambhir, the irrepressible BJP MP from Delhi, who has, of course, distinguished himself on the cricket field. But these days, he is also playing on the pitch here in the Union capital, where sometimes the ball turns squarely. Mr. Gambhir, let me just ask you a straightforward question. Aam Aadmi Party says that, look, you have these attack hounds, the ED and the CBI, you misuse them. Why should we trust the CBI and ED actions? The ED has, a conviction rate of less than 2%. Of course, the CBI does better with 69%. But, there is this perception. How do we know that what you're doing here is in the interest of propriety?
See, I'm a very strong believer in one thing. If you haven't done anything wrong, you don't need to be scared from anyone, any agencies, anyone. That is where it stops. And if you have done something, if you're scared about something, if you're scared from the agencies, if you're creating panic, I'm sure you've done something under the table. And that is exactly what has happened a couple of months back when this new excise policy was formed. That was only formed in the amount of liquor shops that were open in Delhi, that were only open so that Aam Aadmi Party could fight the elections in Punjab with the help of Khalistanis and could form the government there. No new school in last 7 years, no new college in last 7 years, no new hospital in last 7 years, but more than 600 liquor shops in Delhi. What does that mean? It just means because they have no emotions for the people of Delhi, and it is such a pity that we are not fighting a man, but we are fighting a perception.
So, more than that, the Aam Aadmi Party says it's vendetta. Many are citing what the Chief Justice of India, Ramanna, has said about the CBI. Whenever the citizenry doubted the skill and impartiality of its own state police, they sought an investigation by the CBI as they wanted justice to be done. But with the passage of time, like every other institution of repute, the CBI has also come under deep public scrutiny. Its action and inaction, they've raised questions regarding its credibility. This is what Justice Ramanna has said. And therefore, I'm asking you, because the CBI, the Aam Aadmi Party today, as you know, held a press conference. Mr. Kejriwal said, look, the Kejriwal model of governance is unimpeachable. The New York Times has put it on its front page. It has given us huge credibility boost. And because of your own insecurities, you are trying to besmirch our image. The perception is that we're doing a fantastic job, and it's a global perception.
Not only in New York Times, but in Khaleej Times as well. Why do we forget Khaleej Times? And we all know that how he's managed to do that in New York Times and in Khaleej Times as well. And what education and health model is he talking about? Without opening a single school in last 7 years, without opening a single hospital in Delhi in last 7 years, he talks about world-class health and education system. Can you or me put our children in a government school? Can we send our people to the government hospital? If he talks about Mohalla clinic world-class, we all know that what happened in the second wave during Corona in the capital, how people were running from pillar to post and the entire health infrastructure got collapsed. And that will always happen in going forward as well, because he's done nothing in last 7 years. He's invested nothing in Delhi apart from putting those massive ads, and which is such a shame, because 2 crore people of Delhi have had so much of faith on a man, thought that he's going to turn Delhi like how he promised into London, Paris and New York, but this is exactly what he's given. The most polluted city in the world. If you talk about world-class health and education, you should talk on that front as well. That Delhi is the most polluted city in the world. Imagine, this is what we brought Delhi down to. Before 7 years, I've been born and brought up in Delhi. 40 years I've lived in Delhi. All other CMs have worked for the people of Delhi and for Delhi. But in last 7 years, Delhi has never looked this tired, never looked this drained out. What this man has done just because he had no emotions. And sorry to say that, I think he's become a megalomaniac. He loves watching himself. He loves talking about himself. And he's got no emotions for the people of Delhi. So it's a pity.
Okay, the Aam Aadmi Party has come out and set the record straight. They've said the Khaleej Times article, if you look at the bottom of it, it says courtesy New York Times. So it is a syndicated feature, or you've seen Indian newspapers also pick up stuff from New York Times and put it. So it's just a syndicated feature. And therefore, you must go by what the New York Times has said.
Just a simple question. Whatever Aam Aadmi Party, whatever the CM of Delhi wants to say, just a simple question, one-line question, they can answer in one line. How many new schools, how many new colleges, and how many new hospitals, and how many new DDC buses have opened in Delhi or have come on the roads of Delhi? Just one line question they can answer in one line. How many new schools and how many new hospitals? They do not have an answer for this because no one tends to ask this question to the CM of Delhi. Let's talk about sports university. Where is that sports university? You guys should send your reporter and see where the sports university is. It is nothing but only on paper. There is no building there. The entire management has been announced. Imagine what this man has done. And it is so unfortunate that BJP is not fighting a man. Had we been fighting a man, we would have defeated him long time back.
No, so
but we are fighting a perception, which is created by media, which is created by news channels.
So you're suggesting that somewhere along the line, the media is kowtowing to Mr. Kejriwal for some benefits. Is that what you're suggesting?
The lot of ads, the narratives, because this question has been asked to me many times that BJP as a party in Delhi is not able to set the narrative. How do we manage to set the narrative? Narrative is tend to be set by the media. You see him day in, day out. During the COVID as well, every second ad was Aam Aadmi Party. Every second minute you would see his face. Every time he comes on the news channel, he talks about so many different things, but there is nothing on ground. You guys are such a strong channel. You should go cover.
Well, Mr. Gambhir,
ask people that what has happened in Delhi in the last 7 years on the infrastructure, on the education.
If you're talking about Times Now, I'll be very, very clear that
I'm sure
the Aam Aadmi Party doesn't send a representative to India Upfront, the show, because they believe that I am in
probably
some way or the other.
Of you. And I'm sitting in front of you. You can ask me any question you want.
Okay, so.
You can ask me any question, and I've got all the right to answer your question because I'm the public representative, yes.
Okay, so you're saying that a perception, that he's played up this perception and he's living off this perception which is founded on PR. That's what you're saying. Okay, I want to ask you one final question. There have been
two
times.
Things. Perception.
Okay, there have been times. Just let me ask you this question.
There are two things. So just 1 second. Just
okay.
two things.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Make your point.
One is perception, and second, one is perception, and second is the victim card. That's it. He makes people emotional. He's been making people emotional since last 7 years, and second is the perception. That's it.
Okay, so that could be said also about the BJP or the NDA government, because we have seen that when Mr. Modi travels abroad, for example, then there are many op-eds that are written on those bilateral visits in foreign publications also. So, and very often those are held up as exemplars of the NDA's great work.
World's biggest vaccination drive was not done on paper. 80 crore people getting ration was not given on paper. So this can't just be a perception. There's a lot of work that has gone on the ground as well. Tell me what has happened in last 7 years in Delhi. As simple as it gets. Talk about education, talk about health, talk about sports, talk about transport system, talk about infrastructure. You tell me. If I am wrong, I will come on your channel and I'll apologize to the people of Delhi if I'm making any wrong allegation against anyone. But this is what the reality is. That nothing has happened on ground. Okay. That is where the problem is, and that is why we keep putting up this issue, taking up this issue, and unfortunately we are not able to being able to create that narrative. But I'm sure going forward people will buy to a narrative and he will definitely get exposed.
I leave it at that point with you, Mr. Gambhir. Gautam Gambhir playing with a straight bat, saying that, look, if I'm wrong, come out, prove me wrong, and I'll be back here to apologize. That's as direct as it can get. Thank you very much,
100%.
Mr. Gautam Gambhir. Thank you very much.